Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to do a little deep dive, a little bit of a guide, a little bit of my opinions on the new Elite Gear system. This is a brand new system with two brand new resources that have been injected into the game. It's sort of new content for existing tier 4s, and it is a bit of a power creep for existing tier 4s. So if you want to get more power out of your existing tier 4s, or you want to save up for future tier 4s, this is going to be one of the ways to do it. But it's unavailable to tier 3, tier 2 transcended characters, only tier 4s, so just keep that in mind. The two new materials that I'm going to be talking about are the Power of Demiurge and then the God Stones. These are the two new materials that you're going to farm from World Boss Legend, and in particular the highest stages of World Boss Legend, like the highest bosses of World Boss Legend, and then also from the Team Battle Arena shop. So you do want to be engaging with both of these pieces of content. With the Team Battle Arena, even if you lose every single match, you're still going to be getting 70% of the token rewards, so you're not losing out on much. And then every week, you can go in and buy 300 of the tokens and 70 of the Godstones. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you buy this out every single week. I've already told my mods. They tell me, no, I got to get the CTPs. Listen, Apache, you do whatever you want, but trust me, guys, trust me, when the new materials are here, you want to pick them up as soon as possible because it will pay dividends in the future. That's just my opinion, though. You're welcome to play the game however you want, but if you ask me, is it worth it to get this over the tier 4 materials in this shop? Yes. Is it worth it to get the new materials over the Odin's Blessings or the CTPs? Yes. I think the very first thing you should be spending, and you should always be saving, I think it's like 140 tokens for the Power of Demiurge, and it's 70 tokens for the Godstone. You should always be saving 200 of these arena tokens for each new week, so you can always buy it out every single week. That's going to be huge. The second place you can get them from, like we talked about, is World Boss Legend. It's only available from World Boss Legend, but as it stands now, every player in the game should be only engaging with World Boss Legend. You should not be playing World Boss Ultimate unless you're a brand new account, you're following free-to-play Old and Gray's guide, and you're specifically farming out characters just to unlock them, like Scarlet Witch, etc. For Legend, guys, you want to be farming the highest possible difficulty bosses you can. I don't mean the highest stage, although the higher the stage, the better. But what I mean is try to unlock and defeat 5 times a day stage 1 of the highest possible Legend difficulty. In this case, Ebony Maw Black Dwarf is the highest right now, with Corvus Proxima behind them and Black Swan behind them. Below Black Swan, you're going to notice a pretty sharp decline in the drop rate of both the tokens, the Power of Demiurge, and the Godstones from Kang downward. So unfortunately, the old suggestion of, you know, split the difference and also farm Jean because she's easier, and because you also get, you know, Phoenix materials for crafting and for building up X-Men, this doesn't really work anymore because you're going to be sacrificing so many of these drops and so many of these drops, it isn't going to really balance out. So my advice to you is at least try to get to Black Swan, but better advice still is to go to Corvus and Proxima because they're actually a lot easier on stage 1 than Black Swan is, despite being a higher difficulty boss and despite giving out more rewards. So yeah, I would aim for Corvus and Proxima or Black Dwarf. Basically, guys, time is a flat circle, and we're back to farming Thanos' minions for World Boss every single day. Now, I have spent a little bit of money. Full disclosure, I have already spent a little bit of money to buy out the low-end cost. They're in the hot deals. You know, there's a limit of 3 on them, and it's basically a deal that gives you a bunch of these resources to start. This is what I've been able to farm for the past couple of days in addition to that. So as you can see, the drop rate is very low. You're not getting a lot of these things. This includes buying it from the Team Battle Arena shop twice. Now, I have used up a lot of my resources to grind out Null's gear, and we'll talk about specific characters a little bit later. But first, what I want to show you guys is the process for what it looks like to level these things up. So I'm actually going to go into my inbox. I actually bought another pack just so that I have a bit more resources to show you guys here. These are the more expensive packs that are on the main page of the game. I do not recommend getting them. I think they are overpriced, but if you really want to, you're welcome to, you know, it's your money, you do whatever you want with it, but I'm telling you it's overpriced in my opinion. But basically, the way that it works is after you unlock a gear, so for example, if I wanted to come in here and I wanted to unlock, you know, Sentry's gear, it's going to start at level 1. And then from there, you're going to level it up using the Power of Demiurge, as you can see here. and the other material. The other material, in this case, this one is, I'm on the tier 3 material, so I'm on the Essence of Dimension. This is going to change. It's going to change whether the character is native tier 1, native tier 2, native tier 3, but it's also going to change dependent on the level of the gear. So when the gear level is lower, it's going to be lower cost materials, like, you know, more commonplace materials that you have a lot of, like Essence of Dimension, Dimension Debris, Gear Up Kits, Component Packs, Dark Branded Blueprints. Then as you get higher up, it's going to be Norn Stones of Chaos, Black Antimatter, and then you're going to get to tier 3 materials where it's going to be CCF, Essence of Dimension, Titan Component Packs, and then it's going to go up to tier 4 materials. And it's going to cost, you know, Life Seed, this kind of stuff. It gets really expensive. And you can see there, it kind of gives you a breakdown of what it takes. And at certain limit points, at 40, 80, 120, I believe, 160, you're going to have to use the Godstones. The Godstones are also required to open up the gear, as you can see there. And then there's also a cost. There's a gold cost, but there's also a resource cost to open up the gear initially. Now, the interesting thing is for native tier 3s, you can see it's a book cost. So they found a way to basically require resources that whales and veterans thought they didn't need anymore. Books and CCF are now going to be needed. So you can see here for Gladiator, because he's native tier 2 instead of being native tier 3, it doesn't cost books and CCF. It still costs Godstones. It costs less. For native tier 1s, it's 100 Godstone to unlock. For native tier 2, it's 200 Godstones to unlock. And then for native tier 3, it is 300 Godstones to unlock. But the other resource cost is going to change as well. So for native tier 2s, like Gladiator, like Adam Warlock, it's going to cost Black Antimatter and Chaos Norn Stones. For tier 1 characters, let's say I wanted to unlock Cyclopses, it's going to be Phoenix Feathers and Emkron Shards because he's a mutant. If he's not a mutant, let's say Dr. Octopus, it's going to be Black Antimatter and not Chaos Norn Stones, but the regular Norn Stones. So you can see there's like a fluctuating cost depending on the rarity of the character. And this doesn't matter, by the way, doesn't matter which gear you're talking about. Whether you're talking about Ebon Rose, whether you're talking about the Chthon Scrolls or the Sword of Bone, or the other one, Serpent Crown, they all have the same cost. It's just relative to what the character is, right? Whether the character is a mutant or not, whether the character is native tier 1, native tier 2, or native tier 3. And of course, this only applies to tier 4-able characters. So once you unlock the gear, you start leveling it up, you start going through the different gear amounts. This is essentially what you get to. So we're going to level up the gear here. I'm going to be able to push it all the way to 120, which is pretty nice. We level it all the way up to 120, and now we get to the limit break portion. And if you've ever played a gacha game before, limit breaking is basically when you have to like break through to the next limit, and you have to sort of play a little, it's not like a mini, it's like a bullshit RNG mini game where you basically just have to like burn resources to limit break the character, kind of like how we did it for the gear upgrades. So this is not a set amount, this is not a set cost, right? It costs me 20 CCF and 49 of the Godstones per attempt. And you can do auto if you believe in the game. If you're a little bit skeptical, if you don't trust the RNG, you can do it manually, and you basically just press this button and it gives you a limit break. You know, it gives you a percentage, right? So 1.2%, 1.2% again, 1.2% again. So that's 3 rolls, 4 rolls, 5 rolls, 6 rolls. Okay, so that took me 6 rolls. That cost me 6 times whatever it was, 49. So it cost me about 300 Godstones. For somebody else, it might have only been 1 roll. So it would have cost them 50. For somebody else, it might have been 10 rolls. It would have cost them 500. There is RNG involved. There is kind of, you know, a fluctuation there that you can't control. You can't really account for. But why do you limit break? Well, the reason why you limit break is, of course, so you can go to higher levels, right? That's how you get from 1 to 40, 40 to 80, 80 to 120. 120, now I've limit braked. I can go all the way up to 160. And then you limit break again at 160 to 180. You limit break again at 180 to 190. And then you limit break one last time from 190 up to 200. And you do that so that you can get more of the gear stat and specialization stat points. So every time I level up the gear stat, I'm going to get these points. And you can see there it's 0.1%. So 10 of these points is going to give me 1%. And once you get to 10%, you've maxed it out and you can press apply. I have an additional 21 points because I'm level 121 on the gear. And so I'm going to put this into, let's say, max HP. And I'm going to get an extra 2.1% max HP. or I'll put it into attack, get an extra 2.1% attack, this sort of thing. You can reset this, so don't worry. You go into manage, you go into reset, and it costs 50,000 gold. You reset it, boom, you can just apply it again. I changed my mind, I want to do attack and I want to do crit rate. Okay, and then later on you can go back and you can say, you know what, actually I changed my mind again. I'm going to reset this again, and I'm going to change it back to all defense and HP. And the stats are also not the same in terms of the percentages. As you can see, the first 3 stats, all attack, all defense, and max HP, each point adds 0.1. But as you can see for crit rate, dodge, and recovery rate, each stat adds 50% more. It adds 0.15, which means the max HP, defense, and attack cap out at 10%, but the crit rate, dodge, and recovery rate cap out at 15%. Now, I can't really tell you what are the best stats to put in. It really depends on your build, your character, and whether you're angling towards PvE or PvP. But of course, there are some general guidelines tips that I can give you that are basically, you know, if the character is going to be used for PvE, then attack is obviously very, very good. Crit rate is also very, very good, and dodge is also very, very good. And you can basically, especially if a character doesn't have a uniform, you can cap out in their tier 4, which I don't think there are any, but anyways, you can cap out their dodge or crit rate, and then you can go and re-roll their other gear options to free up more stats for attack and other options, right? So you can see this as like a new way to cap out these existing stats. On the other hand, on the flip side, if they're more for PvP, if they're a PvP focused character, all defense is really good, HP is really good. Don't get me wrong, attack is still good, and capping out your crit rate and your dodge are still good if it's going to free up, for example, your 4th gear roll, or it's going to free up your 5th gear uniform option roll if you had that roll to crit rate, or whatever the case may be. So again, it really depends on your account, what Odins you have, you know, whatever your ISO 8 said, blah, 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 blah. I can't really give a step, you know, I can't give an infinite guide essentially in that sense, but hopefully these tips are sort of general and applicable enough to kind of show you in the right direction. And so every time you limit break, right, because we did the regular levels, and you can see here, if I go and I level this up once, it's not going to give me a specialization point, but it's going to give me, it says right there, obtained 1 gear point. Now I can go back and, oh, I have an extra 0.1. So now I got my max HP from 0.21 to 0.22. Very exciting stuff. Every time you limit break, so you limit break at 40, you limit break at 80, you limit break at 120, 160, 180, 190, which is 6. And then you also limit break the very first time when you open up the elite gear. That's when you get a specialization point. And these are really cool because these are unique effects that you can apply and you can put points into. And as you can see here, we have 3 unique effects that every character has. So you have Disarmament, Boss Slayer, and Natural Instinct. Every single character has that. And then depending on whether you have Ebon Rose, Sword of Bone, Serpent Crown, or Chthon Scroll, that last one, in this case, Root of Life, because it's Ebon Rose, that will be different. So all Ebon Rose characters, no matter if they're hero, villain, you know, male, female, blast, combat, speed, universal, if they have the Ebon Rose gear, then they will have the Root of Life ability. Conversely, regardless of male, female, universal, speed, combat, blast, hero, villain, if they have the Chthon Scroll, the Serpent Crown, they're always going to have that damage control, damage reduction. So just keep that in mind. As far as what you want to level up first, usually I would say the exclusive ability is the best, or it's like very, very, very good. And there's no difference in where the points go in terms of like their value. As you can see, it's 1% for the first number, then it goes up to 2.5, and then it goes up to 4. So if I wanted to max out this disarmament one, I can apply this, and then of course I can reset it. I can go here and I can reset it for 50,000 gold, and I can say, you know what, instead I want 4% HP. So you can see the numbers are the same, right? The numbers are the same. It goes 1, 2.5, and then 4. It just matters what you want it to be and where you care it to be. So even though Null, for me, is a PvP character, for you, maybe Null is a PvE character, and you use him in ABX, use him in ABL, use him in Zombie Survival. You just want him to crank out more damage against bosses. So you're going to choose this Boss Slayer one. An extra 4% increased damage dealt to boss types. That's awesome. If you're more PvP inclined for your Null, I would suggest either Root of Life or Disarmament. Both are very, very good. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Again, it depends on who you are and your account and why you're building and what you're building for. It really, you know, isn't a huge upgrade. It isn't like a game-breaking upgrade that's going to make or break your character, but it is a new way to get new power and to get anywhere from like a 15 to 20% bump on your character's strength for PvE or PvP. It also adds a lot to the growth score. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, then you should engage with this content regularly. You can even spend money on it if you're as crazy as I am. Otherwise, I still recommend farming it because I think it will be more important in the future. We may even see way down the line, a year from now, 2 years from now. It's not going to be tomorrow. But I would speculate that we could see content that's gated and says like, hey, one of the tier 4 characters that you bring into the content has to be at least like level 100 limit breaked on their gear, right? Because it's a way to grow your character, it can also be a way to restrict certain characters from being used. So again, you're going to farm it from World Boss Legend regardless. That's not really going to be something you want to avoid anyways. But I would, again, Apache, if you're listening, bro, get it from the shop, man. It's super cheap. If you do the math on how many token, like the token to ratio, like the ratio of tokens to thing, think about how many Power of Demiurge you can buy for just one CTP. All I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, guys, hopefully this little guide has been helpful to you. I'm very curious to see who you guys choose for your first character to max out elite gear on. I can do a follow-up video where I basically do like a tier list of elite gear characters. I think it would be similar to a regular tier list video, but it does have an interesting implication because some of the characters aren't necessarily like it pulls them in a different direction than they necessarily were going. Like for example, right now, although Mr. Fantastic does have some of the chops for PvP, he isn't really there. But Serpent Crown gives him more damage reduction, so that definitely puts him more in a PvP vibe moving forward, especially if you maxed out his elite gear. On the flip side, Jean, who is more, is better for PvE now than PvP, but was a dominant PvP powerhouse, has Sword of Bone, which doesn't give her any PvP value. So unless the new uniform for Jean, whenever that's coming, unless that gives her a huge bump, her PvP days might be numbered. So pretty interesting there. I kind of like the system. I think it's a little bit too hard to farm Godstones right now, but we'll have to see how the devs handle it in the future. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Again, smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.